I made like 100 today, but was hungry and looking real bummy today. You was bony and looking too funny today. I don't care, niggas still make change. Let's go.
What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of the Chatting with Cheeze podcast. I'm your host, Fat Cheeze, and y'all already know the motto: no gimmicks, only the real. I appreciate everybody for tuning in each and every week to check out the podcast. Y'all know what I need y'all to do. Smash that subscribe button. We are on our way to 200 subscribers. I also need y'all to like and share the content, and let's jump right into it. So on Sunday, we had an outstanding game in the evening slot. It was the Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams had control of the game for the most part, and then the Bills found a way to storm back in and make this a close ball game. Rams ultimately winning the game 44-42. So I came up with a topic because I watched that entire game, and it was some outstanding quarterback play on both sides of the ball from Matthew Stafford and from Josh Allen. But for what I seen from Josh Allen, man, was just, I've been watching Josh Allen previous years since he's been in the NFL, but it's something about this year that is just very, very special. So the topic that I came up with was, should Josh Allen be the clear front runner for the MVP after Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Rams? And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to just go out on a limb and say it, and I think I don't see how a lot of people can have problems with what I'm about to say. I don't think Josh Allen should just be the front runner for MVP. I think Josh Allen is currently the best player in the NFL, period. And I know a lot of people going to say, well, what about that man up there in KC? And Patrick Mahomes is great, but I think if we're just talking about this year, what we have seen this year, the quarterback play we've seen this year, I think all around this year, Josh Allen has been a better quarterback than Patrick Mahomes. And honestly, I don't think it's been close. Josh Allen has been playing some amazing football, and Sunday was just another example of what he has done, what he has been doing all year. These are Josh Allen's stats from Sunday's game. He went 22 of 37. He had 342 yards passing, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions with 117.2 quarterback rate. On the rushing side, he had 82 yards with 3 touchdowns on the rushing side as well. He's the first player in NFL history with 3 pass touchdowns and 3 rushing touchdowns in a single game. For him to be able to go out there and not only be able to make magic and do the things that he's doing with his arms, but also the things that he's doing with his legs to be able to just have the defense on pins and needles the entire game. It was 2 throws that I seen from Josh Allen that I just felt like only a select few quarterbacks can make these throws. The one where he hit Amari Cooper. I think Amari Cooper was just on a go route on the left side. He was going for a go, and that ball, if you watch the game, you know what play I'm talking about. The ball placement, I don't think anybody thought that ball would be able to make it in there to Amari Cooper. Even it had Tom Brady and the other guy up in the booth. Like, it's no way that ball should have been completed. It was on a rope. And the one, I believe it was early in the fourth quarter or the beginning of the fourth quarter, I think it ended up tying the game or putting them down 3. The one where he hit Mac Hollins going right down the middle, just a dot in the end zone for a touchdown. The defender didn't even have a chance to turn around and find the ball, and literally the ball is right there. Mac Hollins had no choice but to catch it. I think it was a fade goal, whatever. Brady called it out in the booth. But if you watch the game, you know the plays that I'm talking about. It's just those type of plays that you've seen from Josh Allen this year. And I feel like with those 2 throws that I'm referring to, there's only 2 other quarterbacks that I feel like could make those throws in this league currently, and that's Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow, along with Josh Allen. We've seen them make those type of throws, but it's just the dynamic of Josh Allen being able to kill you with his arm. His arm talent is out of this world, but then also be able to give you what he's giving you with his legs as well. Josh Allen, despite the loss to the Rams, Josh Allen was the best player on that field on Sunday. And this is no knock against Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford played a hell of a game, but for Josh Allen to try to carry and wheel Buffalo to that victory the way that he did, and they came sure he did what he was supposed to do. All they needed was their defense to get one stop, and their defense couldn't quite do it. If Josh Allen was able to get that ball back, and was able to get that ball back, or if the defense was just able to hold, I believe Buffalo either goes down the field and ties that game or wins it. That's how on fire Josh Allen was in that game. This is Josh Allen's 10th career game with 300+ passing yards and 50+ rushing yards. Josh Allen has the most touchdowns since the start of last season with 75. The next closest player and their tallies have 67. This is just how good Josh Allen has been this year. And it's crazy for me because coming into this year, I actually felt like that they will have a down year. Losing Stephon Diggs. I said I didn't feel like, for them to go into the season with no true number one. And I felt all the pressure would be on Josh Allen. How will he perform? How will he be able to, answer all the questions without that true number one? They drafted Keon Coleman. You still had Shakir, but Coleman is a rookie, and Shakir, he's just one of those guys. He can kill you in the slot, kind of like a Cole Beasley type of player, but he's not really one of those type of guys you would consider a true number one. All the pressure was put on Josh Allen to come in and over-exceed this year, and I feel like he's done it. And I feel like he's done it in a major way. There's no player this year that has played better than Josh Allen. Zero. I don't think you can find him just with the adversity. Just with the adversity that they were facing coming into this year, and for him to answer the way he's answered has been amazing. Josh Allen, this is Josh Allen's season stats. He has 3,033 yards, 23 touchdowns with 5 interceptions. Josh Allen had 14 interceptions through 13 games last year. He only has 5 interceptions in total this year. So everybody was killing him last year about his turnovers. You got to work on your turnovers. Yeah, Josh Allen, I like him, but he turned the ball over too much. He went in the lab, got that straightened out, came in this year, and he cut down on the turnovers in a huge fashion. Josh Allen is on pace to have this be his lowest interception season in his career. The lowest one that he had before that was in 2019. He only had 9 interceptions, but he threw for 3,089 yards. So this year right here is kind of similar to that 2019 year. The only question mark for Josh Allen is, can they get over the hump and be able to climb to the mountaintop and finally get to a Super Bowl? I think this is the best year, and this is the best chance that Buffalo will have to actually make a Super Bowl, because despite Kansas City's record, Kansas City doesn't look as dominant or as good as they've looked in the past. This right here is the year that Josh Allen could knock Patrick Mahomes off and actually get to a Super Bowl. That's how phenomenal I think Josh Allen is playing. That's how phenomenal. And I think right now what we're watching, this is basically like the new era. And don't get me wrong, I love Joe Burrow. I love what Joe Burrow has done in Cincinnati. He's turned that franchise around. Joe Burrow is a great quarterback. But I think when you think of the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, I think it's no argument you got to go Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. But I think this is the best year. This right here is the best shot that the Buffalo Bills will have and Josh Allen will have to dethrone Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Not to mention, I didn't even mention what he's been giving you rushing. Josh Allen currently has 416 yards, and he averages 5.2 yards per carry with 9 rushing touchdowns. Right now, he has the Buffalo Bills offense ranked points per game 2nd, total offense 10th, passing offense 17th, rushing offense 11th, red zone offense 4th, third down offense 8th. Coming into the season, this was Josh Allen's wide receivers. He had, like I said, Keon Coleman, who's a rookie. He had Curtis Samuels, Khalil Shakir, Mac Hollins. They traded for Amari Cooper. He didn't get Amari Cooper until the trade deadline. They brought in Amari Cooper. Now he finally has himself a true number one. And then you had Dalton Kincaid, who's a tight end, with Dawson Knox, who's also a tight end. So before the trade for Amari Cooper, I mean, like I said, you just had Josh Allen playing with a bunch of just a bunch of guys. I'm not no disrespect to them, but the way that Josh Allen has elevated his game this year, I don't think nobody can have an argument saying that Josh Allen isn't currently the best player in football. He's the best player in football, hands down. What he can give you with his arm, what he's been giving you with his legs, the way that he's been able to carry this team and uplift them. Josh Allen is the best player in the NFL currently, and I think this right here is the best shot for Buffalo to be able to go into the playoffs confident. I believe they more than likely will get the number one. It's going to be between them and Kansas City for that number one seed in the AFC. But if Buffalo can somehow manage to get, they got a tough one this week against Detroit. If Buffalo could somehow manage to get that number one seed, I don't know how many teams want to have to go up to Buffalo and play them, especially with the snow and everything. But you know, Kansas City, they're used to that kind of weather. But I think this is the best shot Buffalo's going to have to dethrone Kansas City. Like I said, Kansas City, yes, they do have a good record, but anybody that has watched them all season, you clearly can see this is not the same Kansas City from years past. And I think right now, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, I think they're catching fire at the right time, despite the loss. That was a hell of a game on Sunday. And I believe if they defense could have just held pat and got Josh Allen the football back, that they would have been able to either go down and win that football game or tie it. But let me give a shout out to Matthew Stafford, because Matthew Stafford played a hell of a game too. I've always been a huge fan of Matthew Stafford. I said Matthew Stafford to me is one of the, when it comes to arm talent, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, hands down. They both teams combined for 86 points, 902 total yards, and 12 touchdowns on Sunday. We all know Matthew Stafford get hot. He got a flamethrower on him. So shout out to Matthew Stafford. I'm not trying to, not give them their credit. They won the football game. They did what they were supposed to do. Matthew Stafford had a hell of a game. Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp had phenomenal games. But I just sat back and watched. And I've always watched Josh Allen throughout his career since he entered the NFL. But this year, I've really been paying attention. And I'm going to be honest, I'm super, super, super duper impressed with what Josh Allen has been able to do this year. Also adding on the fact that was the team that I felt this year wasn't going to do anything. Like I said, I'm willing to admit it. I felt like they wasn't going to be able to do anything this year. And for Josh Allen to come with all that pressure on him, not having a number one receiver, the turnovers from last year and everything, and for him to respond in this type of way this year, I think hands down, Josh Allen is the best player in football. And I'm standing on that. People, if you disagree, leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. But right now, I believe Josh Allen is the clear front runner for MVP, which he very well should be. And I also believe he's the best player in football. Moving on. So on Saturday, for all my college football fans, we all know it was conference championship Saturday, where you had a bunch of conference championship games to decide. A lot of these to decide the conferences, SEC, ACC. We had some pretty good games. I think I sat back and watched majority of them. I checked out. I watched Texas and Georgia. I watched Clemson and SMU. I watched Boise State play, I think, the night before, which was on Friday. They played UNLV. I watched a couple. It was some very entertaining games. But after Saturday, on Sunday, the committee came out and placed the 12 teams. So as everybody know, I'm gonna just give you a reminder. This year is the first year they switched from a 4-year college football playoff, a 4-team college football playoff, to a 12-team. So on Sunday, the committee came out with their final 12-team bracket and named the 12 teams that will be in the college football playoff this year. So they had number 1, Oregon, number 2, Georgia, number 3, Boise State, number 4, Arizona State, number 6, Penn State will play number 11, SMU, number 7, Notre Dame will play number 10, Indiana, number 8, Ohio State will play number 9, Tennessee, and number 5, Texas will play number 12, Clemson. The two teams that were eliminated was the first out was Alabama and Miami. So my question is that I came up with is, did the committee get the playoffs correct with leaving Alabama and Miami Hurricanes out? And I'm gonna say absolutely. And this is the first year where I actually 100% agree with the committee on the decision they made. I don't really see how people can be in an uproar or be upset about the decision they made. And I understand a lot of people, they want to see Alabama. They want to see the best versus the best. But guess what? When the college football playoff format was brought upon us, it was told to us that the best 4 teams would make it. Now they switched to 12, and the same thing should apply. The best 12 teams are supposed to make it. Alabama was not one of the 12 best teams this year. I don't care what anybody say. Yeah, now everybody's up in arms and people want to start bringing up strength of schedule. I don't want to hear that, because we was talking about strength of schedule all them years when it was a 14 playoff and people was finding reasons to leave teams out that were going undefeated, that were only losing 1 games because they wanted to bring up strength of schedule. Alabama had every opportunity in the world to be able to make the college football playoff. You can't lose to Vanderbilt. You can't lose. You lost to Tennessee. Okay, that's understandable. But then you can't turn around and lose to Oklahoma and only score 3 points. 2 of those teams that you lost to. Let me remind you guys. 2 of the teams that Alabama lost to, Vanderbilt, they went 6-6 and they are 11th in the SEC. Oklahoma, who they only scored 3 points against, went 6-6 and are 13th in the SEC. You can't lose those games. Anybody that has watched Alabama this year knows this is not the same Alabama team from past. But somehow people still expect them to move pins and needles to help them make the playoff. There's no team in this place, and I know people want to say, well, we want to see competition, or it's a team going to get in there and get blown out because they not going to. It doesn't matter. The point is, you play who's on your schedule. If you're one of the best teams in college football, you're one of the best teams in college football. Let's not move the goalposts for certain teams because we worrying about a team making the playoff and get blown out. Guess what? Me as a fan, I would much rather watch a team make the playoff who deserve to make it and get blown out rather than watch a team who don't deserve to make it get in and, get in and make the playoff. That's how I feel as a fan. And as a fan, you should feel the same way. SMU deserved to make the college football playoff. Yes, did they lose in the ACC championship game? Absolutely. But it was a competitive game. They were down majority of the game. They fought their way back, and they ended up tying the ball game up, and Clemson went down and made a miraculous field goal to win the game. So I still believe that SMU deserved to make the college football playoff. Arizona State deserved to make the college football playoff. They won their conference. They went 11-2. They deserve to make it. Clemson, they went 10-3, but guess what? They won their conference. They deserve to make it. It's the 12 best teams. You can't pick and choose. Oh, well, now we want to talk about strength of schedule. So every single year, a team that's in a lesser conference or whatever shouldn't make it because of their strength of schedule. No. What we were told when the college football playoff format was brought to us was the best teams will make it in. The best teams will make it in. Alabama will be fine. They'll survive. They'll bring a team next year, and they'll have a chance next year to make it. Now I'm seeing something that came to my phone earlier talking about they thinking about expanding into 14 teams. Why? Because Alabama didn't make it. Also, I'm not going to forget about Miami. They didn't deserve to make it either. You lose to Georgia Tech, and you lose to Syracuse. You don't deserve to make it. At the end of the day, you gotta beat the. Let's not act like it's a robbery or a shack job or somebody getting over. No, you beat the team. Beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. You'll make the playoff. Simple as that. But let me bring you back. See, because this is where I don't like the whole strength of schedule thing, and everybody want to move the goalpost and make it. Do we remember 2017 the UCF? Let me remind you. In 2017, UCF became the first team in the history of the NCAA Division I FBS to improve from a winless regular season to an undefeated regular season in only 2 years. Despite being the only undefeated team in the FBS, UCF did not receive a spot in the college football playoff. They went 12-0, the program's first ever undefeated season, and won the 2017 American Conference Championship. Nobody batted an eye. You heard a couple of people outraged about it, but everybody just moved on. This team, they went undefeated and was still moved out and was still pushed out the way because they felt like other teams had played better competition. So you mean to tell me, okay, I'm in this conference and another team is in that conference. I steamroll and win my conference, but this team lose a game or two. But just because they play harder competition, that mean, you know what? Well, then they still deserve to make. Come on, man. They still deserve to make it, but I don't. Come on, man. We got to stop it. Like I said, I'm one of those guys that always, I like to see Alabama too. I like to see the best competition play the best competition as well. But we not going to sit up here and act like just because we want to see the best versus the best, that a team that's deserving of making it shouldn't make it because, we feel like they didn't play nobody. No. At the end of the day, they strap their pads on and play football just like any other team. You got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and you'll be where you need to be at. And Alabama didn't do that. You can't beat Georgia at home, one of the biggest games of the year, and then turn around and lose to Vanderbilt. Come on, bro. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. Did we not forget what happened to Florida State last year, 2023? Florida State Seminoles in 2023, they went 13-1. They had an 8-0 conference record, but they didn't make the playoffs because their quarterback, Jordan Travis, got injured. They didn't even give Florida State a chance. They didn't say, you know what, Florida State, we gonna even though y'all lost y'all starting quarterback, we still gonna put y'all in there and see what can happen, because anything can happen. Anything can happen. Do we not remember when Ohio State, Zeke was it Cordell Jones? I can't think of his first name, but the quarterback from Ohio State. This was when Zeke played for Ohio State. They backup quarterback took over, and they won the national championship, even though it was kind of like on the back of Zeke playing out of his mind. But still, they didn't even get, you know what I'm saying? So what's the difference in that? But they didn't even give Florida State a chance to, you know what I'm saying, last year when they had the season that they had. So I'm just trying to figure out, it's a lot of stuff with it. This is the very first time in a minute that I salute the committee. I think that they made the right decision. I think all the teams made it that should have made it. I think SMU should have made it. I think Boise State should have made it. And I think Arizona State should have made it. And if you mad about it, just be mad. You'll be all right. You'll get over it. Because, like I said, we done seen Alabama, Georgia. We done seen these teams in the playoff plenty of times. And we'll see them plenty more times in the future. And then you got people saying, well, we don't want another TCU situation. When TCU made it, they ended up beating Michigan, but they ended up getting blown out in the champions. Oh, well, TCU deserved to be there. When this, like I said, and I'm going to keep reiterating it, when this format was presented to us, it was told that the best teams will make the playoff. We not making exceptions. We not moving goalposts. You put the best teams in. The teams that deserve to be in need to get in. I don't care about no strength of schedule. I don't care about no competence. I don't care about none of that. The best teams make it in. If I'm undefeated or if I have a season where a great season, I deserve to have a chance to make it in the playoff to fight for a national championship. Simple as that. Alabama did not do what they were supposed to do, so they didn't deserve to make the playoff. It's that simple. You can't lose to Vanderbilt, and then you can't turn around later on in the season and only score 3 points against Oklahoma. Come on, bro. I'm not buying it. Congratulations to those teams that made it. Y'all deserve to make it. Committee, y'all got this one right. Simple as that. And we moving on. So, moving on. We switching up. I haven't talked about boxing in a little minute. So last Thursday, First of all, I'm moving a little too fast. March 1st, 2025, we will have Gervonta Tank Davis facing Lamont Roach in New York at the Barclays Center. Now, when this fight was first announced, if everybody who watched this, but this will be posted a lot of places. So if you from out of town and you see this, I'm from Maryland, PG County. When this fight was announced, I was excited. I wasn't that excited, but I was happy because I seen that it was, it's going to be two, you got the Maryland and DC thing, and Lamont is from here. Lamont is somebody who I've watched pretty close in his boxing career, and everybody watched Tank. So when this fight was announced, I was pretty excited. I wasn't too excited, but I was like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. Last Thursday, they had their second and final press conference, I think into some months down, and at Howard University. And I'm gonna tell you one thing I can say about Tank, and I don't know how he do it. Tank is a hell of a salesman, because after that press conference on Thursday, man, I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited for this fight. I think a lot of people are not giving Lamont the respect he deserves. I think Lamont is a pretty decent fighter. I think he can make it interesting. Of course, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think Tank is ultimately gonna win the fight, but I'm supporting Lamont because he's an area kid. You know what I'm saying? I'm behind him. And I think a lot of people should be behind him. I think Lamont can make this fight interesting. Not saying that I believe he could win the fight, but at the same time, I just got to give my honest opinion. I think Tank will ultimately win the fight, but I am supporting Lamont Roach because, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, he an area kid or whatever. Let me read off they record and, they stats and everything right now. So Gervonta Davis is 30-0 with 28 KOs. Lamont Roach is 25-1-1 with 10 KOs. Tank Davis' last victory was against Frank Martin. Lamont Roach last victory was against Fergal McCrory. Roach holds the WBA super featherweight title. Gervonta currently holds the WBA lightweight title. Gervonta, they had to move some strings or whatever to get Lamont to be able to come up in weight. So I think he's going to be moving up to 135 for this fight. And, Lamont is really in a win-win situation. Tank, even if, the outcome is not what he wanted to be, he still will be able to keep his belt and everything like that. But I just like what I seen. I like the confidence. He doesn't seem like he's scared. He doesn't seem like he's backing down from Tank. And I think they grew up together. They came up in the amateurs together. They fought each other in the amateurs. That was brought up in the press conference. But it's just something about Tank, man. Tank got that swagger. And at first... And I'm going to tell y'all got to be careful because in that press conference, they woke him up. You could tell they woke him up. He wasn't, that first press conference, he really wasn't, he wasn't all the way there. But that second one in D.C. Of Howard, that woke him up. And I think because, regardless of what, they can try to downplay it all they want. It's a D.C. Baltimore thing. Everybody know if you do your history on D.C. and Baltimore, everybody know that, the rivalry that's been going on for years of Baltimore not liking D.C., D.C. not liking Baltimore. So we all know that's going to play a part in this fight. But all in all, though, like I said, I wasn't really it was something that I said I was going to watch. But after Thursday, I'm really excited. Like I said, I think if Lamont could just stick to his front, there's really I'm trying to coach him up, but it's really no answer. You know what I'm saying? I think that if Lamont could just find a way to just hang around, I think he could make it interesting. Like I said, I've been watching Lamont for a little while. I like his style. He got some sneaky power with him too. And like I said, he got that grit. He from the area, and Tank from Baltimore. So it's one of them grudge matches. But I just wanted to speak on that fight just for a little bit. But I was real interested in the press conference. I watched it, and I said, you know what, I'm gonna bring it to the podcast. And just talk about it. We got all the way till March 1st, so we got some time. But I'm honestly thinking about heading out there to go check it out. I think it's gonna be a good one. I think it's gonna be better than the Frank Martin fight, me personally, because like I said, I've been watching Lamont, and I think Lamont is not really getting the credit that he deserves. Lamont's a solid fighter. He not a champion for nothing. You know, he ain't a champion just to be a champion. He really could fight. And I actually watched his last fight against Fergal McCurry, and he dominated that fight. So confidence is riding high. But you know, Tank is a different beast. Tank is a different animal. So I just can't wait. I'm super excited. We got a little bit of time. March 1st is a little bit ways away, but next thing you know, we'll blink and we'll be right there. So I can't wait to, you know, once the fight get closer, talk more about it and, you know, give my thoughts on it and everything like that. I just wanted to bring up the press conference and everything like that and how excited that I am for the upcoming fight. Moving on. Week 15 NFL predictions. Last week I went 10-3. I had a good one last week. 3 teams cost me. The Bills. It was the Bills. Who else cost me? It was the Bills. Giants. No. My bad. It was the Bills. It was my Cowboys, and it was another one. Who else was the other team that I got that I didn't? Oh, the Titans. The Titans and the Jaguars. Jags end up winning. Those was the 3. But other than that, though, I did pretty good last week. Y'all already know my saying. These are my picks. If you choose to rock with them, that's on you. Don't call me saying, hey, I listen to you and my shit ain't hit or whatever. This is what I believe. I just give my game predictions. That's it. So I'm going to start off with the Thursday night game. I went Rams over the 49ers. I'm going to give my reason why for that first game. The 49ers put a beat down on the Bears, but that's just the Bears. I think the 49ers have really had a struggle this year, and I like how the Rams looked against the Bills. I talked about it in my first segment. The Rams had a hell of a game this week, and I think the Rams are still trying to fight to sneak into the back end of the playoffs. And, you know, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, Williams in the backfield, they've been looking solid. So I think the Rams keep it up. I took them over the 49ers. I went Panthers over my Cowboys. And did you know in that game, the Panthers are favored for the first time in the game in 2 years. I went Panthers over Cowboys, though. I like the fight that the Panthers have been putting up these last couple of weeks. And I actually like how they looked against Philly. A couple of plays go their way. They actually could have won that football game. I went Bengals over Titans. I went Chiefs over Browns. I went Commanders over the Saints. I went Dolphins over Texans. And I know a lot of people might be shocked, but I haven't really been too sold on the Texans this year. They've been finding ways to win, but I'm not really sold on them. I haven't really been too sold on C.J. Stroud. And I think the Dolphins could put up some sneaky points on you. With Tua, ever since Tua's been back, you still got to worry about Tyreek Hill. You still got Waddle. Edo Smith, the tight end, he's been looking good. So they still got some sneaky weapons. I went Dolphins over Texans. I went Jets over Jags. That's the trash can bowl right there. I went Ravens over Giants. This is going to be the game of the week right here. And I'm going to tell you, there's no way I could have talked about Josh Allen in that first segment the way I did and pick against him. I went Bills over Lions on Sunday. I think the Bills bounce back. And the only reason I went Bills over Detroit, and I love Detroit. I have Detroit coming out of the NFC. This could actually be a Super Bowl preview. The reason why I went Bills over Detroit is because I'm going to be honest, those injuries for Detroit on the defensive side are kind of scaring me. They've been having a lot of injuries. They brought in Jamal Adams recently. He got a few snaps on Thursday. They did bring in Zadarius Smith. But they got a lot of injuries on that defensive side of the ball. And I think, you know what I'm saying, I think eventually that could come back to haunt them maybe later on. And I think it'll probably haunt them this week because Josh Allen is playing out of his mind. And if they can continue to be, if as hot as they got against the Rams later on in that ball game could roll over against Detroit, we could have a hell of a game. I went Bills over Lions, but the Lions absolutely could definitely win that game. I just took the Bills. There was no way I could talk about Josh Allen like that in my first segment and then turn around and, you know, say the Lions going to beat them on Sunday. So I went Bills over Lions, but that's going to be a hell of a game. I went Chargers over Bucks. I went Broncos over Colts. I went Cardinals over Patriots. This is another one that's going to be a hell of a game. I went Eagles over Steelers. Both of them have been hot. Philly almost slipped up and lost on Sunday. Like I said, if some plays would have went right for Carolina, Philly could have possibly lost that game. But I think they bounced back in a good way, in a major way against the Steelers. Now you got the rumblings and the drama with AJ Brown and Jalen Hurts after Graham came out and said what he said on his podcast. So they're gonna try to come out and prove a point that they locked in. And then I just think Saquon is a lot to handle. He didn't really do too much against the Panthers. He had a solid game, but I think he comes out and I think they beat the Steelers. I think the Steelers gonna put up a hell of a game, but I went Eagles over Pittsburgh. I love the way how Russ been looking too. By the way, let me just mention that Russ has been looking fantastic, and I don't know if Pickens is gonna play this week or not. That's gonna be a huge deal as well. I went Packers over Seahawks, and for the Monday night games, the doubleheader, I went Vikings over Bears, and I went Falcons over Raiders. So those are my Week 15 NFL predictions. Like I said, if you choose to go with them, but don't call me if they don't hit or they don't go the way you want or whatever the case may be. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of the Chatting with Cheese podcast. Like I said, I appreciate everybody for tuning in each and every week. Y'all know where to find me. I'm not hard to find. Y'all know the motto, no gimmicks, only the real. Don't forget to follow me on all social media platforms as well. They'll be put at the beginning of the video, Instagram, X, TikTok, etc. Y'all know the rest. Wherever I'm at, they'll be all on the front of the video, But until next time, I see y'all.